WSTU, it is 9:06, and it is time for The Forum with your host, Pat Sacco.
Good morning, Michael.
Morning, Pat.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I have a special guest with me today.
Excellent.
Comes from a community on Indian Street in Esther Lane, and it was called Allegro, but now it is called Addington Place. Like I said, I remember the Addington because I remember Paddington the bear.
That's a great way.
So every time I see that cute little bear all dressed up, that's Addington Place. And I want to compliment you, Cindy Allen, by the way. And her title is Director of Community Relations for this place with the bear.
Addington
You
Place.
should have one.
Stewart.
You should have
I'm gonna.
a Paddington bear up there.
Yeah.
Cool. I want to compliment you because this sort of happened suddenly, quickly, and it's a change, but it's not a change. It's a change in name and structure and management, but not ownership and purpose and dedication, which you guys have big time. Okay?
That's correct.
And you did it so quickly and so easily, that transition. I mean, we had a little come and meet and greet yesterday, and there was this huge banner that was stretched across two tables, 24-foot, 12-foot banner, and it had Addington Place on it. Your name tags were Addington Place, your business cards. Everything was done, set, and a lot of times it takes months to make a transition.
That's true. The biggest part of this transition for all of us remain in the community was to make it seamless for our residents. That's the most important part of this equation.
There's an expression out there, everything has changed, yet nothing has changed.
This is true.
And that's exactly what you've done. You have a high quality, you have a fantastic reputation in this community, okay? And your high quality of representation brings people, and you direct them someplace. Say, given your circumstances, you might want to go and look at such and such.
This is
which
true.
is unheard of, Cindy.
Well,
people don't do that.
We're not
I'll
for
take
everyone.
that client no matter what I have to do to get
Mm-mm.
that client. No, but in the long term, you end up being a directional place.
Mhm. A resource.
Yes. And,
Yeah.
we pride ourselves on the Treasure Coast that we're like this,
True.
that we are out to help people. And if we can't satisfy them, let me help them find someone, because someday that's going to come back to us.
Well, I think when you're in a situation where you're in turmoil, there's a problem, there's something that you need, that you call, you dial the phone, you look up every place that's available and you start dialing. And in a lot of cases, we're not for everyone. Not every community is for everyone.
Right.
But we pride ourselves at Addington and formerly Allegro. We make sure that we know it's available for everyone. In the event that someone calls and they need a different venue than what we have, or a different price point, we know all of that ahead of time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if sometimes it's kind of like going to the BMW dealership when you're going to buy a Chevy or a Ford. You want to see what's out there, but gee, I can't afford this. It's too much,
Mhm.
And have the dealer say, well, listen, there's some other alternatives here that you might want to explore,
Mhm.
rather than, well, save your money and come back.
But don't you think, though, that it's also about the person that you're with, that you're meeting with, that you're talking with, that advisor who's going to help you through this journey? I think sometimes the feeling that you get when you meet someone, albeit it may not be the place that you're going to ultimately move your loved one, but you got to feel that person is there with you, that they're going to help
bond with them.
You do.
Especially when you take them in as a resident, because they come to you with a problem. You're the first contact. You were the person that helped them get there.
Right.
And sometimes that doesn't mesh too well with the other system.
Well, you got to
remember,
remember,
supposed to do this, but you're doing that instead of them. Why are you doing my job, kind of thing? No, as long as we're a team and we do this together, we're okay.
You're exactly right. You couldn't have said it any better. The whole team support system, from move-in to introductions to nursing staff to care team to lifestyle, all of that. Dining so important.
Yes.
So we have a real structured program with someone who first moves in. They move in. There is an orientation. They're going to meet every manager of every department. They're going to get comfortable with whose job description that they need to really look at. Who do I need next? Who am I going to rely on? So in as much as we do let them go after the move in, we never let them go. We're still there for the family. We're there for the resident. We see them every day. That is my second home. I've been there 9 years. And I love that community and the people that are in it. I mean, we're a big community,
And
195.
I hate to tell you this, but you're not leaving either.
No, I'm not going
No.
anywhere. None of us are going anywhere right now. We're all very happy with that. The structure is the same. Ownership, like you said, is the same. Some of the behind the scenes paperwork things are a little different, but very easy, very up to date. The new management company, Cedarhurst Living, have been great. They're actually from St. Louis, Missouri as well, right across the street from Allegro. They have lunch together. So everybody
Wonderful.
knows everyone. It was a good transition all the way around. Allegro was courteous and was there to help with that as well. So in our hearts, we're Allegro based with all the training and all of the good things that we were taught and learned and the good structure. And I think Addington Place, it's just going to flow very easily from here out. The residents, as we said, seamless.
Now there's another one in Jupiter.
Yep. They're going to manage Jupiter as well. And
I got a flyer on that. They were having a
yeah.
little meet and greet.
Well, our grand reopening will be November 19th. Chamber will be there. Hopefully I can get the mayor. We need to, we're going to have our corporate folks down here as well. So the 19th of November, we'll do our ribbon cutting.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. It's kind of strange. You did that ribbon cutting, though.
I
9
know.
years ago.
I was in the little sales trailer on the corner of Indian and Astor while the building was being built, that little trailer. It was so sad when they pulled that away, but it was so wonderful when we walked in the building.
Right.
Had that ribbon cutting the first time. And so now we'll reopen and have it.
I've seen that in so many different communities. So I'm old enough to remember that we had this wonderful, almost church service at the Life Care Nursing Home on Jennings Road.
Mm-hmm.
When they opened that place, the family is very religious. They had a woman singing religious songs and playing the organ or whatever they were doing. It was almost like a church service
Mm-hmm.
because the family believed in that for them.
Right.
And, and they've been open for a number of years now.
It's still a beautiful community.
Yeah, it is. Though, and there was a neat concept of doing a nursing home, an IL and AL, everything
Everything on the same campus.
Everything on the same
Mhm.
campus.
Yeah. And as I told you earlier, I do the, tour all of the communities. So they know us and we know them, going back to we're not for everyone, so that I have the resources available to someone and the phone numbers and the contact person. So you came to me and spoke with me about a loved one, your mom, dad, sister. I can help you with that. And I feel confident in every community around us that has the same values as we do. You saw a lot of the guys and gals last night. I had a networking, and it's always fun to see the other communities come out. We share stories.
Right.
So,
Well, let's focus a minute on Cindy.
mhm.
I know you were born at a very early age. Okay. Where did you grow up? What did you do? Let's take you back to
Okay.
high school and
Let's go
what you
back.
wanted to do past high school. How about that?
Well, I'm from Vermont, born and raised, grew up on a farm. My grandparents owned a quarter horse farm.
Ah,
And both my grandfather and my uncle were judges, and they traveled the world during the world shows. They were in Madison Square Garden,
hmm.
Oklahoma City, all those wonderful places. There's 5 of us in my family. I have 2 sisters and 2 brothers. And one sister is now living here in Florida. I moved her here in January.
What about education, training?
Education. So after high school, I went right to work, working for a lodge, actually. Did a lot of the move-ins. It was a long-term as well as a short-term lodge, and various other jobs before I moved to Rutland, Vermont, which is near Killington ski area. Went to work for a law firm. I worked for a law firm for 8 years. And while doing that, I was doing a lot of the leases and management of a large corporation that had commercial and residential real estate.
Hmm.
So I went to work for them and worked for them managing their real estate division for 10 years, and then moved to Florida.
Aha.
And when I got to Florida, it took a little bit of time, researched where I wanted to be, but through my fishing contacts, I had met Doug Gilbert, and he was the president of First National Bank. Went out fishing, had a little lunch, discussed. He said, "You come in." I went in and had, I think they interviewed me 5 times. Finally, they offered me the position mortgage banker. And so I was in the St. Lucie market, the builder market on Tiffany. So I was with them for several years, and then came out of that after the mortgage market went a little crazy. And one day, someone I had worked with in the commercial division at the bank said, "We are discussing, ground financing for this beautiful community that they're going to build on the corner of Indian and Astor, and it's going to be a senior living. It's right up your alley." So I met with the folks that were there, had my interviews with them, and in October, the 14th of October, 2010, I was hired to work for Allegro Senior Living. So best day of my life.
Valentine's Day.
October 14th.
Oh, October.
Yeah,
That's
my
February.
daughter's birthday.
Oh, okay.
So it was a good thing.
Well, my son's birthday and my birthday are a day apart. And for 18 years, I didn't have my own cake.
Oh,
And we had to blow together. Finally, when he went to college, I was able to get my own birthday cake.
well, come a day when he's going to help you again.
Yes, right.
Right?
He'll have to
That's what-
blow for me. I'll be just leaning over the table.
Yeah. So, but in talking about my family, so I share with you that I've gone over it with you before, but I moved my sister to Florida in January. She was unable to live alone anymore. She has Alzheimer's. 6 years now into this. Early onset started about 5 years or so ago when we really started seeing it. And I thought, race in and save the day and move her into my home. And it was going relatively well, thankfully, for all of the resources that are in our area, the Kane Center and certain other resources that I could work with to be able to still go to work every day.
Mhm.
And still take care of my sister, who was now advancing through her disease relatively quickly. So I utilized all the resources through the Area Agency on Aging at the Kane Center. The guys, the gals there are just, it's priceless what resources that they gave to me. And through that, was able to work through the 9 months that she was with me to get through every day. But her disease was not allowing her to sleep all night. Her disease was telling her it was time to get up. No clock, really, no internal clock anymore. At 6 o'clock, she'd want to go to bed. At 1 o'clock in the morning, she was waking me up to tell me it was time to get up. 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. And I became very sleep deprived and went to my office one day at Allegro and sat down with my team, who I knew would be able to look at this different than I was. I was not looking at it correctly. I was the caregiver now, and I needed someone to sit on the other side of the table from me and tell me what to do. I knew the answer, but I wasn't able to do it. But over time and working through some issues of getting finances in place for her, was able to place her in a beautiful community that I'm very happy with. Couldn't be in mine because she'd see me every day and she knows me. So it would be disruptive to her to be able to see me every day. She sees me as much as she needs to, and we reminisce, which is what she loves the best.
Mhm.
But why I share this is that for 9 years going through training and learning and the senior gems and the virtual dementia tours and all of the training that we go through to be good, trusted advisors and to be a support for someone who's going through this disease. When it's you, it's very different. It became, I can do this. I can do this. No, I'm not going to put her somewhere. No, I wouldn't do that. She's my sister. But at the end of the day, now, when I walk in and see her, when I go to visit her every week, she is so happy to see me, and we can reminisce about things. And it's not the stressful uncomfortableness that was going on between us living together.
Well, plus, with her sense of time right now, it doesn't matter whether you're there every day or once a month. She's not going to be. I mean, you could be there every day, and then show up the next day and says, "Where have you been for the last month?"
Exactly.
You know, because she doesn't understand the current.
No, there's
thing.
no time.
I've walked into one. In fact, when the place she's at now, I did 9 months of work there.
Oh,
I was supposed to design a activity program for their dementia unit, secure unit, which I did at about 3 months. And then they hired a new marketer, and they said, "Well, you've had experience in marketing. Would you work with her?" That was another 3 months. And then that marketer took the position of activity director, which I've done a bunch of things. So I worked with her for that. Finally, I said, "That's enough." And I was doing 3 days a week and then trying to jam in everything else. And I said, "Unfortunately, I don't have time for this anymore."
mm-hmm.
But I got to know that committee quite well. And then they added on the new, that whole new section of the secure unit,
Mm-hmm.
because it was one big room with sleeping rooms around the sides.
Mm-hmm.
It's a gorgeous place.
It is, and I'm comfortable.
Very
with
relaxing up there.
Mhm.
You know, very comfortable.
Yep, I'm very happy with it. As I told you, I had, visited each community in this area, and I do that quarterly for my, comp analysis, we call it competitive analysis, just to make sure that we are all on the same page and we all know each other and know what we all have to offer.
Well, you have a reputation, Cindy.
Uh-oh.
You have a reputation for helping people.
Yeah. Yeah.
You'll say, "This probably is not the place for you, given all these circumstances,
Mhm.
social, financial, whatever. And yet, let me make some suggestions to you, because I know some places that would be much more in keeping with what you're looking for."
And I have truly, been sitting with someone at Allegro, Addington, and been sitting discussing their needs, wants, financial. Financial is important. Let's get the elephant out of the room. It is the most
Yeah.
important thing when it comes down to this, really.
Right.
You got to know what it is. So being as close to all of the other communities as we are, the ability to call up and say, "Hey, do you have a minute? I've got someone here who needs to talk with you, and this is just the basics. Can I schedule her to come over now because she's out? She's got the time. Her husband is at the day center. And so she doesn't have to go back home, sit down, research everything and start over. Because I know now how daunting a task it is. And when you make the decision to do it, you need someone to help you, to hold your hand, to not necessarily push you through it, but guide you through it, to pull
be
you
with
through
you
it,
there,
to
so
be
you
with
know
you.
you're not alone in this decision.
And reality, Pat, is too that I've referred someone to another community, made the process seamless for them to go there, and have given all of the information so I don't have to start all over. I've already told you I poured my heart out, and now you're telling me that this isn't the right fit and I need to go somewhere else. Let me help you. I will explain everything, only what she needs to know or he needs to know to get you in the door, to get you where you need to be. Make the decision. This financially is going to work for you. I know it will. So off we go.
You're like a junior Ann Geisler.
Well, what happens? Truly, what happens
because
then?
she knows all the places, and in her mind she can say, "Okay, there are 2 or 3 things I
Truly.
want to take you to because this is cool."
We work with Ann's team and they're wonderful. But then, the process then, I have a relationship with so many of those family members who chose to or needed to move to another community, but we had gained such trust and we had become so close that we stay close. And very much like Ann and her team, you need to learn about the person. You need to learn about the process, and you need to learn what they're going through. Their probably the most important thing I will tell you. It is what they don't tell me that I need to know the most. The caregiver who comes in and is not going to give me the real true, what's going on.
Mhm.
And so many
They're going to
times,
gloss it over a lot.
well,
yeah.
maybe embarrassment comes into play. I don't want to tell you what incontinent issues we're having. I don't want to tell you what I had to do at 2:00 this morning. I don't know you well enough to do that yet. I'm not comfortable.
But that's what your community provides.
Exactly.
That's why they're there. for
It's
that.
almost like you have to learn what they're trying to tell you without them telling you. And now over all this time, that's where we all are. I think that we are all able to sort of glean what's going on without them saying what's going on.
Yeah.
And learning it this way, I didn't want to learn it this way. It happened. She's my oldest sister, been there for me, taught me how to drive a car, let me drive without a license with her in the car on an old dirt road in Vermont. And we talk about now when I go to visit her, we don't talk about what's going on today because it's fleeting. It goes away so quick. We sit and we reminisce about things that we did when we were younger, when, it was good and it was fun. And she loves that. She loves it.
How do you feel when you do that?
Oh, it's awesome. It takes me back and and then it brings me
It takes the
joy.
depression off. It takes the guilt off.
Takes the pressure. I
Takes the
feel
pressure.
guilty every day
Right.
that I'm not there every day.
But
But I can call. They let me call there. I can call there and I can say, hey, I'll see you tomorrow. Whether it's next Sunday that I'm going or this,
Mhm.
whatever. If I say to her, I'll see you tomorrow, when we hang up, it's perfect.
years ago, I was in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and there was a conference at Notre Dame, South Bend, on speech pathology. And the head of the National Association was a PhD speech pathologist and an MD working with autistic children from Texas. She was a keynote speaker. And she got up and gave this talk. She said, I'm looking forward to being old and having dementia. I said, why? I said, well, look at it this way. They get you up in the morning, they wheel you out to the solarium. All these people there, they're telling these wonderful stories. Great. Then you go to bed and you forget about them. They wheel you out again. The same stories come up, but they're brand new to you. So every day there's a new story
Exactly.
going on. I thought, well, there's one positive to that.
There is.
Because the current existence is gone.
Mhm.
And rather than dwelling on it, you go back to a time when there was a happier time,
Mhm.
when they still have cognition of those events.
And I told you that, this morning, it seems every time that I go to see her, she wants to know if my mother knows that she's there and
Okay.
if it's okay. My mother's been gone since 2011. But what I say to my sister is, she does know you're here and she's really glad you're here.
Yeah,
She's
right.
glad you're comfortable and happy. And so that makes her happy. And that's always a question she asks me.
Well, one of the things we haven't done well enough yet is to train young people who live in the house with grandma or great grandma. Okay. The 11, 12-year-old. I've seen them be better caregivers than their parents,
Mm-hmm.
attending to their loved one.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we need to go into the schools. We need to teach them a little bit about how to cope with some of these things. When mom leaves the house, okay, and says to the little girl, watch grandma because I have to go to the store. Well, 5 minutes later, grandma's saying, oh, I have got to go down to the bus stop and get the children. Now, what does this little girl do? Grab grandma's leg and hold her from going outside? No, we train her to say, where did mommy go? Mommy left. Yes, mommy went to pick up the children. She's going to get them at the bus stop. She's going to bring them home. So grandma takes her coat off, says, okay, then forgets about it.
Redirect.
But that's what we have to
Mhm.
train the children to do.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, we've come a long way, but there's a long way yet we need to go. Unfortunately, our country is different than most other countries because most other countries look at age as a plus and wisdom. And you go and talk to grandma or grandpa about something because they've been wise. They've been living many years.
Mhm.
And the older you get in this country, the more invisible you become.
Well, and also, Pat, I'll tell you that the kids I think the kids aren't really sure how to manage when they know that there's changes. And I'll share with you just the personal aspect of it. Last year, when I went to my sister's and her daughter and family, she has 2 grandchildren, were there, and we were sitting, and my sister couldn't keep track of the conversation. We were talking about old things. We were doing all that. But I said to the kids, I said, you know what you could do for grandma? You could go get one of those photo albums in her bookcase and bring it on over here. Grammy can't read. I didn't explain this in front of anyone, but I said to the kids, Grammy can't read to you anymore the pictures and all of your picture books. I mean, she's 4 years old and she loved to read, but Grammy can't do that for you anymore. Go get one of her old photo albums and bring it over here. And Grammy will read that photo album to you. She'll tell you all those old pictures, who's in those pictures. She might not get them all right, but she's going to try, and it will help her brain just like it would help you reading. Just like your teacher says, make sure you read tonight. So for Grammy, you need to help her. Let her look at those books, and it'll stimulate those happy memories that she so remembers, and create new ones because she's looking at them with you.
Right. And while she is able to do this, this is a perfect thing to do. Because again, it takes so much of that anxiety off of your shoulders. We're still doing it. I'm doing it for her. I'm still working. We have it in a place that meets the needs that I might not be able to meet at home. I'm not a dietitian, so we're going to deal with dehydration. I'm not a physical therapist. I might have a transfer from the wheelchair to the bed and drop her.
Or hurt yourself.
Yeah, and I didn't pick up the rugs in the house. There are knives on the counters. You know, these kinds of things you really have to prepare for. And unless you are tuned into that, you're setting up an environment that's dangerous.
For both of you.
For both of you, right. For your mental health and her physical health. And it comes a time where you have to do this. You don't have a support of 50 relatives that are each going to take a shift like we did with my grandparents.
Right.
My mother had to go there from 7 to 10 on Thursday nights. That was her assignment because she was working. But everybody pitched in and they did all these things. And that was like, it wasn't anything special. It was a thing that was just done. You know, it was your turn. And again, we can't find 3 relatives in a 5-state area.
Right. No,
now, if you had 4 or 5 brothers and sisters here and everybody took a week or a day or something, it would work like clockwork.
But, you know, Pat, even, you know, trying to do it in your home is wonderful. It you know, that is the first step. That's what you do. But there comes a time where, like I said, I wanted my sister back to enjoy her. She could feel emotion. She still can. She knew when I was tense. She could tell it. She would look at me. She'd be sitting on the couch and me in my chair, and she'd say, "Are you okay?" Because I would be probably sighing every couple of minutes, like I don't know what else to do, sighing. And she could feel that emotion. When I go to visit her now, when I walk through that door and she sees me, it's open arms and the biggest smile you've ever seen. And it's, I love you. She tells everybody she loves them. She tells everybody in the community where she is, she loves them, and they love it. And they tell her, and we love you too. She's a very caring, always has been, person. And people told me, Cindy, if you do this, when you do this, you're going to get your sister back. You're going to have the visits that you so want now with her being your roommate that are not going to happen because you're her caregiver.
Right.
You're not her sister when she's in your home. And I learned that in a month or so. It took me 30 to 45 days to start feeling comfortable, more comfortable with my decision. But now, last weekend, I went in there with a bunch of little Dunkin' Donut holes that were all the Halloween, and they were going to be playing bingo. And Robin wanted to share it with everyone.
Oh,
And so she invited all of her new friends, over to enjoy and she said, my sister brought these for everybody. And so I share I now have her back as my sister. And even though, I'll go there, I'm probably the worst. I check to make sure her bed is made, and I check to make sure her laundry is done, and all those things that we don't think anybody else can do. But every time I go, she is clean. Her hair is back. Her bed is made. Everything is hung in her closet
Right.
just right. And so others can take care of our loved ones. And, they are careful with Robin. They're careful with her care. They're careful with me because they knew how difficult it was for me to go through this. I work at a senior living community. I've been there 9 years. This should have been easy for me. It was not. It was not. It's too personal. So
Once it gets to that personal thing, all your experiences go right out the window because
absolutely.
it's hitting you. You've been doing the things that have been hitting your head. Now you're doing things that hit your heart,
Absolutely.
and everything changes. We're supposed to break at 20 after for a little commercial thing, and we get to this. Mike, why don't we do the commercials and then move on?
WSTU, it's time to go back to the forum with your host, Pat Sacco.
Thanks, Mike. We're here with Cindy Allen from Addington Place. The Bear.
The bear.
The bear.
I'm gonna get one.
Addington Place. Let's take a walk through a typical day of a resident at Addington.
I would be happy to. So way back when the first residents moved into Allegro, which is now Addington Place of Stewart, their comments were always, gosh, it's like a cruise ship.
Mhm.
So it is. It's a cruise on land. It just, thankfully, I'd have to chase it around if it
I
went
like that.
anywhere. But it is. So from, the dining, which is very, very important to our residents, 5 different dining rooms. We have independent living, the largest part of our community. So there's 106 independent living resident apartments. And they're all designed and styled as true apartment living, full kitchen, full balcony. And they have their dining included monthly. So it's a month-to-month rental. And then our assisted living has their own dining, which they love. Independent living, I'll go back to, bistro, happy hour, entertainment. Just as you would to go to different venues on a cruise ship, there's different places to go for entertainment. Assisted living has their own, we call it the Stewart Saloon, and it's their own entertainment. You can find them in there in the afternoon, maybe playing poker bingo or enjoying, a fun social hour at the end of every day, just as they did when they were younger, growing up. Their parents did it. They love to do it. It's still that, wind down at the end of the day,
Mhm.
happy hour with your friends. And that's the biggest part of this, is that you are with other people. Socialization, in my mind and in all of our minds, is the best medicine. Living alone is not. Living alone, and you live in Florida, all of your family lives up north. Don't be alone. It's not good. So, and then we have our memory care, which is a private, secure part of our community. They have their own dining, their own activity calendar, their own outdoor walking paths. So a day in the life, you may start out in the morning and have a great healthy breakfast, and you either go out to the pool and do water aerobics with one of the guys or gals that provide that. You might go to the fitness center. We have a full fitness center, and we have classes that are provided for you 5 days a week. We have a beauty salon, hair, nails, massage, facial, manicures, pedicures, anything you need. Our movie theater is probably one of the highlights for our folks. We have a grand movie theater, 50-seat stadium style. So afternoon matinees, evening movies every day. So after you've had dinner, take a glass of wine or not, go to the movie theater and sit and watch a movie. And the residents, by the way, choose all of these things that they want to do. And our activity director makes sure that they're all available, including movies. We'd love to see.
Good.
We'd love to see. A couple weeks ago, they did the whole Thornbirds
Oh, yes.
series, boxes of Kleenex,
Mhm,
all along the
Richard
front aisle
Chamberlain.
there. Yep. And Rachel Ward.
Rachel Ward. Yes.
Yep. So, and from that, lectures, I've partnered with Cleveland Martin. We have a lecture series each month where we have a different doctor come in and do presentation on back injuries, best way to stand, sit, best way to move, cognitive deficits. Is it memory loss? Is it my aging process? Is it Alzheimer's?
And plus, you sponsor workshops and
We
seminars.
sponsor them.
Right.
Yes, absolutely. So, the card games, board games, bridge players. We have a lot of bridge players, and some are serious and some are not. So there's always a way to do that. Mahjong, dominoes. I never knew dominoes were actually a game. I thought you lined them all up and kicked them with your toe and they all fell down, right? No, there are people that actually play dominoes.
That's right.
And cribbage. And we have a beautiful library and a community room. We do wine with a purpose, wine and watercolor. We have the gal come down from Jensen who does that. And that is every week, 3 days a week, I think, or 2. A lot of folks are very talented. never had the time to paint, but always wanted to, or would dabble, you know.
And when
on
you
a-
get a class, they say, okay, now paint the sky blue. And you do that. Now put a line in there. And you can get things. I used to do this in a treatment program I had about drawing a horse. I would say, here, draw a horse. Well, they look like a lump thing. But when we took them through the process, all the horses look like horses with a little bit of instruction and guidance. It's amazing what you can do.
I'm going to have you come in and work with our activity director and our memory care just one time. Just have you come in and share your lifelong history of knowing different communities and different wants and needs and what works and what doesn't, or what really worked well. We'd like to know that too.
One of the things, and whenever I go around, I see a sign that says today's weather is cloudy, sunny, and it's October 30th, 2019. I have them take the 2019 down. I had a man that got so upset when he saw that. He said, it is not 2006, it's 1956. Why are you putting that up there?
What is that number?
Because so we took the year off.
I love that.
So he was okay with the month and the day, but that year was, don't con me. I know what I am. I'm 1956.
Wow.
Now, there's little stupid things like that that set people off. And why did they say? We don't know why it set them off. That may have set them off.
Yeah, because that's not what's in their
So
head.
you look around
You
and
got
you
it
see-
wrong. You have it wrong. And you don't want to tell them they're wrong.
And
You
no
got it wrong,
violent
Pat.
movies, no shooting, no
No,
guns, no,
No.
get out
We
Mayberry.
don't run the news. We
you
don't have
know,
the news
yeah,
on anymore
right.
in the morning. It was too disruptive. I know my sister in particular, Hallmark movies. She'll sit there and watch the Hallmark movies all day. But you're right on that. Now I'm thinking about that because she'll ask me what day it is. And a lot of residents do that. What day is it? But we never talk about the year.
But because when they say, well, what year is it? It doesn't
That
matter.
doesn't matter.
Does it matter to you?
No.
No. Okay. Well, let's forget about that
No,
one.
It doesn't
Today is
matter.
the day we have to focus on.
Today is the day.
The month, the year.
Yep.
I mean, the date.
Seasons, though. Now she lived up north, just as
Season,
we
okay.
did. Seasons are. She keeps asking me. I'm gonna need my my shoes, my warm shoes. She knows that winter was cold, and it's almost winter. We talked
Mhm.
about it because we were on the phone FaceTiming with her family in Pennsylvania the other day, and her daughter said it's getting cold here, Mom. And she couldn't. There was no concept. And the FaceTime thing, just really quick we provide the ability for families that don't live near us to do the IN2L, which is a computer program, meaning it's never too late. There's a lot of programs on that particular computer, but it also can provide a FaceTiming
Oh,
with
very
your
good,
family.
very good.
But when I FaceTimed with my sister and her family up north last weekend, when I hung the phone up and put it back in my purse, my sister said, "Where did all those people go? Where'd all the people go that were just here?"
Oh,
And
yeah.
because they were there and they were all talking and she could hear their voices. And she recognized her daughter's voice, and she was talking about, the leaves have all come down and we're doing the last mowing for the weekend and we've closed the pool and the place looks great, but all the trees are now bare. And Robin was looking in her mind's eye at all that. And when I hung that phone up and dropped it in my purse, a few minutes later, she went, "Okay, where'd all the people go that were just here?" And I said, "Well, they had to get going. They had a lot going on today, but they'll be back tomorrow." If I say I'll be back tomorrow, if I tell her I'm going to see you tomorrow to her is good.
It's good. It's good. Yeah. Do you get any youth volunteers to come in and do things?
We do. We had a few of the schools that wanted their students to get some extracurricular.
Yeah, they have to get so many hours
Yep.
of community service.
Yes. And so we did. We actually had the school choir or the group come in a couple months ago. We'd like to get more. I'd like to have more schools come
Here's
in.
an idea for you. There might be several people in your community who really don't do computers, but have relatives in Eugene, Oregon, and San Diego. Get a student to meet with that person, get an email address, and have that student write an email to have the person dictate an email to their son in Palo Alto.
That is a great idea.
And then he will email it back. That student comes back and reads that email to that lady. for that person.
Great idea.
Because,
gotta-
you know, kids would love that and they love computers and they love to do these things. So it might not be FaceTime, but it might be a little exchange to some relatives out there.
The next book you write,
Yeah.
you need to put all these things, chapter 1, chapter
Yeah.
2, little things, just, that you've learned, that you have shared, that have worked, that because it is not one size fits all.
No.
Not all of it is the same. Not every person's the same.
But it's like you say, I wish I knew then what I know now,
Mhm.
kind of thing.
Mhm.
And like I was an administrator also and made a lot of mistakes in the beginning because I thought that as a power trip. I'm the boss. I'm in charge. You do what I want to do. Until I realized that I could be much better respected and get much more out of people by sharing this responsibility. And then not management by intimidation, but management by objectives. Like I said, it's your project. You do it. Don't come asking me, okay, it's all done. Now can I implement it? No, it's all yours. And you're going to have the responsibility and the authority.
Mhm.
That authority breaks down because we don't basically trust people.
Well, there's
I got to make sure it's right before it goes out under my name, kind of thing.
Yeah, but there's a whole, building structure. There's a whole structure of, a management team, at this level. Our executive director, Anna Sorrentino, is awesome. She's going to be here 4 years in January with us. And she lets each department go just so far. She's always has a mindful eye on what we're doing so that it doesn't affect anyone adversely and always knows, I'll think of a great idea and want to push that idea, but then there's probably one little piece of that I hadn't thought of that she will. And we really do incorporate everyone in decision making when it comes to, we have a planning meeting every Wednesday morning at 10:30. They do a care plan meeting for those folks in assisted living and memory care so that we are all aware of what's going on with our resident family members. What's going on with our residents? Is there something that's going to change? Do we need to be aware? When I first started in this business, I was very emotional when someone that I had gotten to know and moved into our community, and every day when I would say I came to my second home, see that person, and it meant the world to me and to them because we become family. The employees there become family. And when someone passes, the sadness that you feel is a family member has passed, but you have to remember we are their family. When you move them to Addington, we become their family. We're there for you and we're there for them. And I've learned that more now, being that I'm going through it personally.
Right.
I need those folks.
Let's give a phone number so people can get
So
in touch
Addington
with you.
Place of Stewart, formerly Allegro Senior Living. We are on the corner of Indian and Astor, Indian Street and
First
Astor
light
Lane, at
off
the
of
first
US
light
1.
after US 1, 772-223-0883.
0883 223-0883.
Correct.
And anytime you can call for an appointment to come in
Absolutely.
and or pop in. Well, if you pop in, you may have to wait a while because there may be a couple tours going on, but
No, we're always there for you. Even if a manager meets and greets you and spends some time with you, if you are in need and you find that you are ready to stop in, don't delay it. You need to do it when you have that feeling, when you know it's time.
very good, very good. Well, Cindy, thank you so much for being here today. And this hour flies, you know?
I know. I said, well, how long is this? 30 minutes? No, an hour.
I don't like to tell people, okay, oh, a whole hour.
Didn't even look at the clock.
I tell this story all the time.
Yeah.
There was a lady out in the hallway, wouldn't come in the door before the show. She was crying. I can't do this again.
Oh,
I said, just come and sit in the chair. Okay, you're fine. If not, you can leave. Well, I finally got her in the chair. We had a whole hour. We walked outside in the hallway and she said, oh, that was fun. I'd like to do it again. I said, what did you put me through to get in the door? And again, sometimes I've had attorneys on at least twice because we haven't finished the conversation yet. No?
no, it's just a conversation.
Okay. Cindy, again, quick number, the phone number, 772.
223-0883.
We'll see you again next week on the forum.